Hey guys, it's Tasty Meat Chunks here, and today I'm going to give you a video on how to be better at tank, because I see a lot of bad tanks out there. And more importantly, I see a lot of people that don't know how to play tank, telling people how to play tank. So this video is going to help you win more games, and hopefully understand the role a little bit better. Tank at the end of the day is about two things. Number one, problem solving. What is the problem your team is facing? Who on your team is not performing well? How can you make them perform better? And number two, holding space and attention from the other team. Now, a lot of people, they hear holding space and they think that means I'm gluing myself to that cart and I am not moving. This is not what holding space means. This is how you end the game with 50,000 damage mitt and find yourself going, why did we lose that game? I had the most defense in the lobby. Their tank only blocked half my damage. It's because you're not holding space right. As a tank, your job is to lead the team to a position that gives them the most value. This means you are getting your team through that choke. This means you are setting your team up for that fight. And this means that once that fight starts, you are taking the attention so that your DPS get picks and your support get heals without being pressured out by the other team. It is not your job on tank to all in on a kill like a Lord Spider-Man player and die instantly 10 seconds before the team fight even starts. It is your job to say, no, the team fight starts now. I have set up my team ahead of cart so that we have a more advantageous position for it, and I'm going to make sure this fight lasts as long as it can so the cart can push up aggressively before I have to start playing it. This means that no, I am not setting up on point, on a defense control point. I am setting up so I can pressure out their backline. I can dive their backline. I'm setting up so I am ready to peel or have put my team in a spot where they will see the most value. This is making space. Holding that point is not making space. Now that we've talked about holding and making space, let's talk about contesting space. This is going to be more of those point fights. Your job once the team fight starts getting a little bit ugly, a little bit up close and personal, is you want to be the most attention grabbing person on your team. Are both their tanks shooting at you? Good. You should be going for their backline now. Are they chucking every CC they can at you? Good. You should be mitigating those and getting ready to pressure out even harder so your DPS have that window for when they actually commit on them. When we're contesting points or stalling an overtime or stalling for a regroup, stalling for an ultimate from one of your supports, that is the situation where you do want to be playing a bit more shield body, a bit more defensively, a bit more around cover. And as a tank, cover is your friend. A lot of people see a character like Doctor Strange come in with a big ass shield, or Magneto, or Groot with his walls, and they think, I bring the cover to the field, so I'm never going to use it. And then they stand out in the open, get burnt down instantly by like a Punisher turret, and wonder why their supports couldn't heal them through that. Disengaging to cover is one of your best friends as tank, because the walls have more health than your defensive abilities do. And if you're still up and in fighting form, the enemy team is still being pressured by you. They are still being worried about you. This is why you see people playing Cap or Venom basically try and have as much uptime as possible, because if there isn't the threat to the backline at all times, they aren't making that space. These characters know that they're not great for peeling. They know that they're not great for anchoring a backline. So they want to be in that backline as little as possible and be in the other team's backline as much as possible. Because if they can't do that, they aren't doing anything. The next big thing that I would recommend for tank is picking our character accordingly. This one sounds really dumb, but you'd be amazed how often it seems to lose people games. Your tank pick should be something that gives your team the best access to their team. Are they diving you a ton? A character like Penny might be good, or you counter dive them with a character like Cap. It depends on the situation. Build your comp in such a way that your best players get access to their best team ups or the most enabling tank for that role. You might have a crazy Spider-Man player on your team, but Venom might not be the right pick. They might be struggling really hard into the enemy's CC. Or maybe their entire team has gone anti-dive, so you picking Venom would actually end up hurting your team more than helping your Spider-Man. Going a character like Mag and spamming bubble on your Spider-Man and clearing out those spider nests from characters like Penny, or CCing away characters that try and CC them, could actually be much more successful than that team up ever was. Are they running that god-awful Bucky Punisher comp? Then running characters with shields and lots of mitigation is going to get your team through the fight, but only if you're picking around them accordingly and supporting them in other ways. You as a tank should never find yourself in a situation where you say, why has this player died so much? You should know, because if you're not paying attention to the field and what your team needs, you are playing tank incorrectly. Anytime that you find yourself saying, why is this player dying, you should start looking at them a lot more carefully to know what the problem is. Maybe they're full committing to fights that they're just about to win, but they don't have the support they need to finish those picks. You as a tank can't provide them healing, but you can provide them pressure and damage. Maybe they're getting counter sniped by someone the entire game and they aren't able to do their best. You should be pressuring out that sniper. Maybe they're getting support ults out every fight, but you are not capitalizing and getting rid of those support ults with something like a mag ult. Or your support lineup doesn't have defensive ults and you need a character like Groot, Strange, or Captain America who can use their ult a bit more defensively. Or again, mag ult. What I want you to take away from this is a lot of times when your team is struggling, Magneto is a hell of a good pick. Since there's a good chance that in the next few weeks the Thing is going to come out and we're going to see a lot more of these bad tank players coming out of the woodwork, getting started on this tank stuff now and understanding how to play and pressure effectively is going to win you a lot of games. So now that we understand how to hold space, how to build around our team comp, and what we should be looking for, I want to give you one final set of tips. This specifically is going to be about Wolverine. Now, there aren't a lot of anti-tank characters in this game. The only two I can seriously think of is really Wolverine and maybe Punisher when he has his shotgun out. But when their team is running the let's just kill the tank game, you got two options. You lean into it and you play the most unkillable bastard you possibly can in the hopes that all of that attention you're getting isn't too much and your team still gets value. Or you stop playing tank. See, your team needs two supports, but it doesn't need two of anything else. Depending on how the match is going, it is up to you as a tank player to sort of get the lay of the land and know what will be effective and what the problems are. If you genuinely feel like you are not getting any value on tank, swapping off of tank can actually be really good, but it needs to be done in a smart way that your team doesn't start immediately throwing when you swap. This means communicating something like, hey, they got a Wolverine and they're diving our backline pretty aggressively. I think if I go Namor in this situation, it'll actually help the team more than it will hurt them that we don't have a second tank. Or, hey, I can't play tank into this comp. Can anyone play a tank effectively into this comp for me? Communicating with your team from the perspective of, I am struggling to make value for you. I would like to make more value for you. How can I best do that? Will always get you more success than just saying, no, my team's throwing, they're bad. Or this is because we have a Jeff the Land Shark. You might be right, but being right doesn't win you the game. It just makes your teammates mad. Remember, first part of this video, we're a problem solver, not a problem creator. Whatever a team is struggling with, that's beyond the point. What is important is how we are fixing that. And I don't know where else to throw this in the video, so we're chucking it at the end. Your shields do not just block damage, they also block healing. So if you're playing a character like Magneto or Strange, you can shield off people's healing and it will effectively be doing more for your team than if you were to just do damage to them. So I hope these tank tips helped you get a little bit better at your characters, and I'll see you all next week when we do our video about DPS. This is Tasty Meat Chunks, signing off. Have a good Monday.